North Dakota State Extension economist Frayne Olson is our market analyst this week. The Argentine drought continues to fuel the soybean market rally and help corn prices. According to the USDA, the WASI report will soon be updated to determine the overall production in both Brazil and Argentina. For trade, it is still unknown if South America's low soybean production rates will improve U.S. exports. For winter wheat, drought conditions in the U.S. along with colder temperatures in Russia and Europe are impacting yield potential. We talked with Frayne Wednesday morning to learn more about how the weather is affecting these markets.
Yeah, so the short-term focus is really on what's happening in Argentina. We're also following the Brazilian harvest right now, so soybeans and corn are being harvested in northern Brazil. We're getting some yield reports coming out of that, very positive numbers from a yield standpoint. So, you know, it doesn't look like there's any major concerns coming out of Brazil. The primary focus is Argentina. Again, we're continued to have kind of seasonal temperatures, which are very warm at this time of year, but also some very dry conditions. So they've been getting some rain showers, but the rain showers have always been a little bit under what everybody expected. So we're entering some very critical growth stages for both corn and soybeans. On the corn side, they're reaching the pollination stage. On the soybean side, it's really the flowering and pod filling stage, depending upon where you are in the country. So the fact that the crop is under some stress right now is really raising some concerns about how good a production or how will the yields be coming out of Argentina, and kind of what are the implications then for world trade.
So how do prices look for soybeans?
So the futures market for both old crop soybeans as well as new crop soybeans, the November contract, we're actually now at contract highs. We've been able to go past the highs that were set earlier in July when we had some weather problems showing up earlier in the U.S. So what I'm telling farmers is, you know, my underlying question is, so what are you waiting for? And the short-term answer is everybody, well, when's the top going to be in? And of course, nobody really knows that. One of the things I'm trying to encourage farmers to look for is a kind of a turning point or a key shift in the market would be as long as the crop conditions and the weather reports coming out of Argentina continue to put downward pressure on yields, as long as it looks like the crop is getting smaller, I do think the rally in soybeans will continue. But once we get to that point where it looks like conditions have stabilized or about as bad as they're going to get in Argentina, I do think at least short term the top will be in the marketplace. We'll see some retracement after that. But we're going to need this continuing deterioration of conditions in Argentina to keep this rally going. So I do think it's going to be a short-term play.
In addition to the soybean rally, there will also be an update with the WASI report from the USDA. What do you expect from that report?
Yeah, so what the traders and analysts will be looking for is a couple things. Number one, what are the yield forecasts or production forecasts that USDA is putting on both Argentine as well as Brazilian corn and soybeans? Again, the soybeans will be the focus. How large is the crop going to be? Is USDA going to increase the production for soybeans out of Brazil? The other thing that we'll be watching is, will that translate into additional export sales out of the U.S.?
Will the WASI report also affect corn?
Yeah, so the corn market is responding to the problems in Argentina, but obviously not as aggressively. Exports out of the U.S. are important for the corn market, but the two largest consumers for corn are both the feed sector as well as the ethanol sector. So if we have extra corn to sell, it's going to be into the international markets. But the corn rally hasn't been as aggressive. So the Argentine crop is much more important for soybean prices than it is for corn prices. So we have seen some response there, but again, just not as aggressively. I know there's a lot of farmers kind of frustrated with kind of the poor, lower prices we've seen, the low volatility, the lack of responsiveness in the corn market.
In addition to corn and soybeans, there has been a lot of talk about drought in the U.S., along with cold temperatures in Russia and Europe. How are those conditions affecting the wheat market?
Yeah, the wheat market, especially the winter wheat market right now, first focuses on what's happening in Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Colorado has crop conditions are a little bit better, but the crop conditions, the winter wheat condition reports that came out this week showed quite a bit of deterioration from this time last year. So there is some concerns. We've been having a lot of rains coming through the eastern portion of Texas and Oklahoma, but that's been drifting up into the Missouri and the Ohio River valleys where we're seeing the flooding. And as we shift into Europe as well as into the Black Sea region, they've had a pretty mild winter most of the season, but now there's a really hard cold spell hitting most of Western Europe as well as drifting into the Eastern European and the Russian wheat producing region. Again, their crop is starting to break dormancy. The question is, will these cold temperatures have an impact on the winter hardiness or the yield potential coming out of the Black Sea region? Again, major competitor in the winter wheat markets.